So this is something that I've already talked about on stream for like a little while. It was just recently, but I'm sort of attempting to streamline my thought process, and I don't know. I guess I just kind of wanted to say it again. Um, I think I told myself like the title of this video when I upload it will be just something about existentialism. It might just be existentialism because, well, the thing that has me coming back to this topic of both existentialism and just like um other people's relation to it, I don't know, is um from time to time when I'm on Instagram reels, it'll be like completely taken over by that specific brand of horror that only Instagram seems to have, the particularly existential horror. um I've seen a bunch of things about how like the theory that our galaxy is in like a void in the universe, like our immediate surroundings, such says the theory, are like significantly emptier than the rest of the universe. I've seen people in the comments of videos talking about that, uh, and they're saying like conspiracy theories about how maybe we were placed in a cosmic void somehow. um, I see a lot of videos comparing machines and the internet to either to God, or just saying that they are like in either an attempted equivalence to God, like the human imitation, um, or like people stating that they are God, but in such a way that we understand that the speaker of that work is like meant to be wrong. So it'll be like messes of wires with the caption like "True Image of God," or there will be like pictures of those. Well, shoot, I forget what they call it, like telephone poles, I suppose, and they'll be like labeled as though there are like parts of a body. So like, yeah, every so often my Instagram For You page will become totally infected with that, and obviously, we're all deeply affected by the media we consume, and watching those videos puts me in a really bad mood, because how couldn't it? So I spend a lot of time thinking about those concepts. Um, and I think that's a conversation that just about everyone has had, like the vastness of the universe and how we're ultimately just a speck in everything. Like, the human lifespan is such an incredibly small amount of time, um, compared to the amount of time that the universe has and will be around. And the sun is going to implode in 5 billion years, and the earth will be wiped out entirely, and any possible record, any proof of the fact that we existed whatsoever will be completely gone. Um, they say there are two possibilities: either we're alone in the universe or we're not, but both are equally terrifying. I think we've all thought about those things a lot, but something I can just never reach is what the conclusion is to all of those things. Let's take it at face value. It is true, ultimately, that the Earth is like an impossibly, imperceptibly small percentage, a small speck of the universe. But what am I meant to extrapolate from that? When somebody says that to me, what what am I meant to think about it? Um, I think there are a decent number of people out there that don't really have a conclusion to it, that point that out and that let those facts bring them down a great deal, but who ultimately don't really extrapolate anything from it. And I don't know. The more I think about it, the less it's really able to matter to me. I guess the thing is that everything needs a frame of reference, and I know I'm going to die one day, and I know that I wasn't always alive, but you know, I won't experience being dead because I'll be dead. It So what I have now, my life, like that is my entire world. That is my universe. The the place where I live, which, obviously that's information I won't disclose. The people whom I interact with, um, that is my universe. And that's incredibly important to me. I care a lot about the people in my life, about the people in my community. Um, So, what am I meant to gain from the fact that there are so many things outside of it and that ultimately it, quote unquote, doesn't matter? Why should the vastness of the universe mean that my small portion of it doesn't matter? Like, it matters to me. And I think a lot of people convince themselves that that's not enough. But I don't see why. I don't see why it shouldn't be enough. And obviously, I haven't always thought this. There are times where I've very much so fallen for the trap of, feeling depressed and existential. Of course, there are. Um, but whether I'm thinking about it strictly emotionally or strictly logically, I think in both cases, ultimately, I can't actually find a reason that the things that matter to me shouldn't matter to me. Why shouldn't I be able to find fulfillment in just a small part of the world and an even smaller part of the universe? Why is it that so many people seem so dedicated to convincing themselves that they can't? Um, I think I've come to think this way more because the more I grow up, the more I take it upon myself to try to be an active member of my community, to try to help as many people as possible. I have a lot of volunteer positions um, at local nonprofits. I dedicate a lot of my spare time just to helping people out, just because I can, and just because that's what matters to me, and that's what I've found gives me fulfillment in life. Um, I don't know. I guess I don't know what I want my concluding sentence to be here. Um, I'm hoping I'm getting somewhere. The more I think about it, the more I feel almost a resentment towards the people that perpetuate that stuff about, the vastness of the universe and the ultimate apparent meaningless of everyone's own lives. Um, I don't think a lot of people say those things out of malice. I think a lot of people have fallen into the traps of thinking about those things and are just feeling really bad in their own lives, and they sort of push that out onto other people. Um, so in a lot of ways, I feel more so. I don't want to say pity because that feels condescending, but I do feel bad for those people. But some people do just say these things out of malice. Um, some people are nihilistic for the purpose of just kind of being an asshole. Um, and the more that I've grown up and the more that I've gone out of my way to be a part of my community where I live, the more I've come to resent those people a great deal. Um, to give a specific example, one of the volunteer positions I hold is at a food pantry. Um, so I'll just walk around with people in there's like a little shopping area. It's essentially a mini supermarket where all of the food is free, but each patron can only take a certain amount. So I'll just walk around with people with the shopping cart and help them select the food they want, tell them all the quantities, push around their cart for the elderly patrons. And I'll just have a talk with those people about like what they're up to, where they're at in life, etc., etc. Um, and then I'll help them take the food to their car, unload all the bags. Um, the amount of gratefulness and love that I have been shown, the degree to which these complete strangers have allowed me into their lives for even a moment, I think has really changed me and has made me feel a lot more grateful, just for interpersonal connection in general, I guess. Um, I kind of forget where I'm really going with that. Well, I guess that circles back to what I'm saying. Like, I volunteer at one local food pantry for a few hours a day. I help out, I don't know, maybe 10 people per day because the little shopping trips, they do take a while. So, like, on the scale of, like, even if we just focus on Earth, even if Earth was the entire universe, I would, my days at the food pantry would still be an impossibly small speck of it. Um, but what does that really matter? Why does that suddenly mean that I can't find a lot fulfillment in that I can't be perfectly happy in life just from that? Um, I think a lot of this does have to do with just having access to all of the information we do. Obviously, I think it's ultimately a net positive, to have access to all the information we do, but I think there are also a lot of ways in which it's a huge negative in a lot of people's lives, unfortunately. But yeah, I guess what I'm really saying about my own life is that, um, as dumb and cliche and corny as I know I sound, and that I've been sounding this whole time, everything matters to me. Like all the little things I do. Um, and the more I've lived my life, the more I've come to appreciate everything and everyone in it. Um, and I have to seek it out myself. Um, the interactions I have with people, the things I do. If I didn't put a very specific continued effort in reaching out, then I wouldn't get anything back. Um, as much as just a few years ago in my own life, I was not nearly as busy. I didn't do as much. Um, I didn't get up to much of anything at all. Like this time 4 years ago, I just, it was just home and school, and I did not have that many friends. And I thought all of those existential things. I thought about how pointless everything is and how small my own life is and how huge the universe is. And I just, continually felt depressed about it, but I didn't have any conclusion to it. I mean, I suppose I did. I would tell myself that I didn't matter and that ultimately nothing mattered. But I guess the more I grow up, the more I've come to realize that that's just not true. Um, and that's a really hard thing to realize. As simple as I'm making it sound, it is. It's a hard thing to realize. But it's okay just for the small things in your life to matter to you and to find fulfillment in them. I guess what I'm getting at is also partially trying to get over of like the fear of missing out. Um, like there's however many billion people in the world. I think it's 8 billion, but I keep seeing articles saying that scientists have like miscalculated the amount of people in the world, which is like, that's fucked up. But anywho's, let's go with 8 billion. There's like 8 billion people in the world. So like the vast majority of them I'll never know, I'll never see. And that goes both ways. And the knowledge of that does come with us with a lot of fear of missing out. Like it's easy to think to myself, there's somebody out there that would be the perfect friend or the perfect partner, but I'll just never meet them. Like um what if they just live in some other part of the world that I'm just never going to visit, and so we just never know that the other exists? Um But at the end of the day, wherever you are, you do have the ability to make that place your home. And whomever is there, you can meet and form relationships with them and find fulfillment in some way. There will always be something, there will always be someone. Um, and somehow I just think that's a hard thing to realize. It's a hard thing to accept. I guess it's kind of hard to explain why. I guess I don't have much more to say on this topic. I just talked for 18 straight minutes, not something I usually do. So yeah, I guess that's it. Bye.